Welcome to another live body and soul healing activation. That's what we're doing this evening. Okay, so we're just going to give it a little bit of time to allow some of the guests to join. Our body, our aches and pains are telling us something. They're communicating something with us. And we can often find ourselves feeling quite helpless and despondent when it comes to our physical ailments. As someone with fibromyalgia, I've found chronic pain, to be quite debilitating. And we can feel like when we have symptoms, aches and pains or disease, that it's something happening to us. And what we might not realize is that a lot of our aches and pains are communicating something with us. Often our conditions, our physiological ailments, are keys guiding us towards our purpose, towards releasing ourselves from old karma, from habits and tendencies, releasing emotional blockages, toxic emotional energy that keeps us in a timeline that is outdated when it comes to relationships, when it comes to career, when it comes to purpose. So I'm offering free channeled healing activations for those of you who have a condition, an ache, a pain, a physical ailment, and you want to know, you'd like to receive energy healing, channeled healing to support you in your wellness, but also to understand where these symptoms, these conditions are rooted. So what my guides do is they show me into the various portals of your lives. Many people think that we just have this one life we're living right now, and we've got past lives that are in the distant past. But time is an illusion. Time is not linear. So we have parallel lives that are active and existent at this current time. And sometimes we've got karma in an alternate universe, in an alternate reality that we are living out. Sometimes we are clearing out karma for an alternate life that we are experiencing, where we're living a more purpose-driven life, where we've given space to the relationship that we want, where we've been able to close the gap between where we've been with our family versus where we have evolved towards. And often when we have aches and pains, it is because we're still weighed down by some of the beliefs, some of the self-concepts, the personal concepts, some of the energetic relationship around that subject in our lives that keep us at a distance, or maintains the gap between the old and our new version of self. So we're always in this in-between place where we are catching up with our evolution. With our lived experience, we are constantly creating new realities because we are coming to clarity about our preferences in relationships, with our career, with our purpose, the kind of lifestyle we want to live, the kind of person we want to be, how we want to experience our friends, how we want to experience lovers. And we're often in this in-between place between what we've come from versus what we're wanting to create. And that can be an uncomfortable place. And when we find ourselves being stuck there because we begin to perpetuate or re-traumatize ourselves, we can manifest ailments, we can manifest conditions, sickness. So your illness, your symptom, your aches, your pains are not happening to you. They are happening for you because they are communicating something very powerful in terms of guiding you towards or highlighting what it is you're wanting to release. So today I am offering channeled healing activations where I channel healing energy for those of you who would like to receive that. I'm going to be doing it here, offering it to you free, live, and that's what we are going to be doing. We are going to discuss and talk about how our physical conditions, how our sickness, how our poor health, how our disease, how our aches and pains are actually serving us. Many times our conditions, especially when they're very heavy and chronic, are part of as part of the karma we carried forth here to transmute so that we can give space to our purpose. For example, many cancer, depending on where it is in the body, is an indication of part of your calling and what you came here to clear out for your bloodline. What you came here to clear out for the generations who are to come after you. But because we have this relationship with dis-ease that really come from a place of helplessness and victimhood, we get stuck in the dysfunction of the relationship with our body, as opposed to understanding what the body's saying and equipping ourselves with tools to be able to use it in the way that it serves us. So if you'd like to get a channeled healing, an energy healing, a channeled healing activation, comment with your aches, with your pains, with your symptoms, with your condition, and my guides will show me where this is rooted, why it is here, and how it is meant to serve you. And then we will channel through some healing energy to help you to shift from dis-ease to well-being, to create the space in your energetic and spiritual process to begin to give space to your well-being. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to ask them. I'm going to spend some time here and see who shows up for this channeled healing, who would like to make use, who would benefit from receiving some support in the area of healing and wellness, so that we have this beautiful non-physical team. We think that this world that we can taste, touch, see, smell is the real world. This is not your real reality. This is hello talent, how are you? This is a physical projection of what's been created in the spiritual realm. You are a soul having a human experience. You are not just in this body. There is a part of you that exists in the spiritual realm, on other dimensions. There are parts of your soul self that exist in alternate realities, and you perceive that as a past reality or a future reality. Hello, Caroline. How are you doing this evening? So I just want to welcome all of you in. I am giving away some channeled healing activations, and I'm just chatting to you about how your aches and pains, your symptoms can be linked to your purpose and your calling and to the karma you've come here to clear. Many times we believe that when we are sick or unwell, it's happening to us. It's become a part of us. So many of us identify with our illness. So when we introduce ourselves to other people, when we speak to people, we say, hey, I'm Elif, and I suffer with fibromyalgia. It's like it's at the core, it's at the forefront of everything that we do. When we have outings with friends or when we're invited to family, yes, I'd like to be there. Please keep in mind, I've got fibromyalgia, so this is the diet. These are my dietary requirements. It becomes a part of our identity. And we integrate with the dis-ease as opposed to recognizing that it is an experience we're having. It's experiential to help to contribute towards our progress. You're not supposed to carry that disease with you forevermore. Your body is communicating something with you through your symptoms, through your disease. It is a key to help you to set yourself free in certain areas. I was just talking about cancer, Caroline, where I was saying, depending on where cancer is it's a spirit guide. it's a spiritual guide guiding you towards taking the steps that are required for you to close the gap between where you are, your doubts, your lack of self-belief, and your purpose. And depending on where it manifests in the body, it'll give you an indication of what you have called forth to clear out at this time. And so many of us, when we're given a diagnosis, we think that this is a part of our identity that we have to live with forevermore, that we have to cope with forevermore. And we see it through the lens of victimhood, and it becomes chronic over time, when really it's supposed to serve us, when it's here to serve us either as a teacher or as a spirit guide. And it's always guiding us towards personal power. It's always wanting to guide us away from victimhood and hopelessness and giving our power away, and yet our perception of it is to remain in that place of victimhood. So I'm inviting those of you who are ready and would like to benefit from the gift of channeled healing. I'm going to give you an opportunity to make the most of that. But if you want to just ask questions regarding whatever pops up for you, any questions that pop up, you can go ahead and ask that too. And I would be happy to answer that for you. Let's have a discussion about changing our mindset and our relationships with our body. Because you are not just a human in this body having a life experience. You are soul, an infinite soul that exists on various timelines. You exist in the spirit world, having a human experience. Only a part of your soul is focused into this body. And your mind is the processes through which you process reality. It's the lens through which you perceive this reality. But your body is the bridge between the part of you that is soul, the spiritual realm, and this physical realm. This body is the bridge. It is that in-between place. And so many of us disassociate from our bodies because of trauma. Because we feel helpless in our bodies. Because we feel frustrated with our bodies, not understanding that our body is a powerful tool for integration between the two worlds. Integration between the spiritual realm, your higher calling, your purpose, and being able to filter as much as that goodness and well-being into this 3D world. So many of us want to get away from this world because so much of it just seems to be difficult and challenging. How are we going to begin to find harmony with the world around us if we cannot find harmony with our bodies? So many people, our relationships in this 3D world, they experience us through this body. The first thing you see when you meet me is my face. When you touch me, you feel my skin, you feel my hands. I'm communicating with you my level of receptivity, who I am through this body all the time. So if we are at war with this body, how can we possibly bridge the gap between the peace and the harmony that we want to bring into this world and the relationships we have here? So that is what I'm wanting to chat to you guys a little bit about today. So if there are any of you that have questions, anything you want to talk about, you can go ahead. I'm going to give it some more time and allow and see who else joins us. If we don't have that many people joining us and none of you have any energy clearing you want to do, any symptoms you'd like to have some channeled healing for, you don't have any questions, then that's okay. We can just have a discussion. And we can get together again next Thursday. Most of us think that when we get sick, we have to live with that illness forevermore. It's like a curse that we just have to carry around. And this is a misconception because of what we've been taught, that this life is meant to be difficult and it's supposed to be filled with suffering, and you just have to deal with whatever comes your way. And it's not true. Also, that there is nothing in this world that can change your physical condition once you get sick. You just have to live with it. And then you go to doctors where they give you drugs. And we pump our bodies full of toxins because we are reactive. We don't take care of our health. When your body starts to speak to you with aches and pains and discomfort, that's when you want to start listening. So, as I said a moment ago, your cancer in the body is cancer serves as a spirit guide. Cancer manifests when there's a big gap between who you've learned or figured out or discovered yourself to be in this life experience, as opposed to your calling and why you came. When some of your experiences in childhood and in relationships have led you further and further away through self concepts and beliefs, those beliefs that you've adopted through your traumatic experiences, through your unwanted experiences, have created a bigger gap between who you now think you are because of your experiences versus who you've come here to be, and your purpose and the karma you've come to clear out for your bloodline and for your communities. And where in the body it manifests is an indication of your calling. So let's chat about that a little bit. So I think, Caroline, I'm going to go through the various areas in the body where cancer may manifest, and I'm going to I'm going to speak about what the calling that this highlights. Okay. So let's start in the tissue or the bone, or specifically in the leg area. So let's say it's in the leg or in the bone or in the muscle. When you have cancer manifesting in that area, I'm specifically going to talk about cancer today. I can go into other conditions like autoimmune and that sort of thing, but let's focus on this. Cancer manifests as a spirit guide because you came in with the blueprint. You chose before you came into this life that you are going to take up the wand or the baton or the staff. In my case, my grandmother on my father's side passed down the symbol of healing for me amongst the Zulu people, which is the cow's tail. Okay, and I'm sure other native tribes too. When it comes to the Khoi people, a lot of our history has been lost, and so I'm sure there's so much about it that I can still remember or learn about. But to me, my familiarity with that cow's tail, I associated with the Zulu tribe, right? Because in Natal, the communities are very integrated with the Zulu people. My mother is from Cape Town, but my father's from Natal. And the grandmother, this is my paternal grandmother. Now, my grandmother on my mother's side handed over to me plant medicine. It was an initiation of sorts, a handing over of plant medicine, my connection to plant medicine and Mother Earth. My grandmother on my father's side came to me and gave me the cow's tail, and this was in a vision. The day after her passing, while she was going through her transition, through her death, she spoke it, and she said, I am a reincarnated ancestor, and I was chosen by the ancestors. Okay, so I was chosen, I was nominated, I was chosen by my ancestral bloodline to heal. And so for people, and I'm just being reminded of my grandmother. She's on the other side. She just reminded me of something. She developed cancer in her leg. So she was given the calling, but she didn't fully embrace it. This had an impact on her life in a number of ways. She was very, very, she was a very powerful figure in the community because she helped deliver babies, and she was often called when people needed care. She was she did a number of things in the community, and she was also a teacher and so forth. But she didn't pick up the calling or answer the call as she didn't answer the call from the ancestors, from our ancestors. She passed it on to me when she passed and she transitioned. And she's just telling me, she's just reminding me of the link because she formed cancer in the leg, which they cut out. So she recovered from it. But I wasn't even thinking of that when I started sharing what Spirit shows me. So I just want to remind you guys, I am a channel, I'm a medium. So when I have talks about these spiritual subjects, I am channeling. It's like I have an earpiece and Spirit is here showing me what's really going on. This is not stuff I'm making up or that I've researched somewhere or that I've read in a book. Okay, so trust your guidance system. This is what Spirit shows me. So just like when I channel healing, Spirit will show me what goes on in the body. Different ancestors will step forward and guide me into different spaces to show me where your disease is rooted. My grandmother just confirmed and validated what Spirit said to me around cancer in the legs. So if it forms in the bone, in the tissue, in the legs or the arms, right? So the limbs, that is a spirit guide. Cancer comes as a spirit guide to communicate with you, to guide you in a very vivid way, because you might be a little bit too calibrated to the 3D conditions and disconnected from your soul self, okay? And you're not listening to your guides for a long period of time. Now, I'm not judging. There was a long period of time where I didn't want to answer the call for my purpose because I just wanted a normal life. And I didn't want judgment, and I didn't want anybody to think I'm speaking to evil demon things and all that nonsense. So I avoided my calling for a long time. So I'm definitely not judging. It's quite something to realize that you have this calling to heal. And the natural tendency is to avoid it because part of the karma that you're coming to clear with your healing is the history of persecution, of judgment, of rejection and abandonment by your communities and societies because of civilization. Let's think about what happened to us as African people. Our First Nations people, the Aboriginal people, the native people of this land had their own cultures, their own economy, their own traditions, their own medicines, their own doctors, healers, and so forth, their own faith, their own philosophies. With colonization came the colonization of the mind and of the soul. Well, you can't really colonize someone's soul, but you can have an effect. You can pinch someone off and create a severing or a disconnection when you colonize the mind, because we create this reality through this processor. So our religion, our philosophies, our traditions, our cultures, our medicine was all demonized. It was made to be bad, and it was made to be backward, and it was made to be stupid, and it was made to be archaic. And they replaced it with their medicine, with their religions, and so forth, to further enforce colonization, because you cannot colonize a people if you do not colonize their minds. And religion was the tool that was used to enforce and persecute mass murder of people who knew too much. They called us witches because we wanted our people to be free of the system, and they didn't want that. So we continued teaching, and we continued with our medicine. We continued helping people. And if you can think that you are your disease, you will forever be a slave. You will be a slave mentally and emotionally and physically. So what did they do? They persecute us. They stoned us to death. They burnt us at the stake. They crucified us. So many of us who have come in with the blueprint of healer, we carry that karma. And part of our healing work helps to heal that in our bloodline. Because those of us who have the gifts of healing and seers and whatever, it's in our DNA. It's passed down. You can usually link or trace your lineage back to healers in every generation who had gifts, whether they spoke about it or not, whether they were open about it or not. You could see it in their practices and the things they did. My grandmother on my mother's side never took her kids to the doctor. She doctored them at home. My grandmother on my mother's side cured my aunt, my mother's younger sister, of polio. She was diagnosed with polio at a clinic, given drugs, and my grandmother used her own herbs and natural medicines. Every day she administered it in her own way, and just under I think at 2 years later, she was diligent. 2 years later, my aunt walked. That's a miracle. It's unheard of. When I told someone that story, they said I must have gotten it wrong because polio was not curable. Thank you, Shanae. Yeah. They're my own. It's just gelish. So I'm enjoying them at the moment, but I actually need to shorten them again. Thank you. Let me just read some of the comments here, guys. Sorry, I don't mean to ignore you. What about someone suffering from fibroids, possibly tumors? Ooh, okay. Sorry, I missed that comment. This is the belly chakra. Let me first tell you what this energy center fuels. If you have fibroids or possibly tumors in the uterus, your uterus is your birth canal. It's a portal. It's a portal between worlds. When there are fibroids or there are tumors, this energy center, the frequency of this energy center when it is in harmony is honor. This means that you, for whatever reason, maybe because of conditions, because of experience, because of frustration, because of you are not able to honor your portal. You are not able to honor the bridge between worlds, what you bring into this life. Either you're judging it, either there's resentment towards what you've manifested. And now you're not able to usher in to bring through the downloads that is your purpose. So tumors, that would fall into the category of what I'm talking about here with regards to cancers, growths. They are spirit guides coming to guide you to clear out what is hindering your purpose. So if there are tumors in the uterus, it is because there is a dishonoring of that portal. Either you're allowing any energy in and out of your life. You're not honoring you. You're not being enough of a snob about the energy that you are channeling between worlds. That could be an indication. Or you are not able to, or not allowing yourself to honor what you are bringing into life, what you are channeling, what you are bringing through the portal. So what does this mean? This individual, if there's a cancer in that area in the womb, for example, which is your portal, it is an indication that your calling, your gifting here is being a bridge between the worlds. So those are that's your star seeds. The calling is to bring in, to download upgrades, new information, and by the time you have a tumor growing in the uterus, it's been a long time since you've been able to allow yourself to oh my goodness, it was just there. They just told me. I think I've lost it now. Just give me a second. Yeah, it's been a long time since you've allowed the energy to channel through you for upgrades. You're stuck. You've been stuck for a long time. The individual that is dealing with that spirit guide is coming to say, you've been stuck for too long. The energy is now becoming, so for those of us who have watched Harry Potter, you've seen what happens to magic when it's suppressed. It becomes what did they call it in Harry Potter, where it becomes that big dark thing that is so destructive. That's what happens to our magic, to our gifts, when it's encased, when it's suppressed. And sometimes this happens because we're so busy wrestling with life, we can't honor life as it's happening because we're so busy focusing on how right or how wrong it is. We don't feel safe with the flow of life, within the flow of life, that we are resisting and we're holding back more than we're allowing that flow of energy. And this means that a lot of the energy that you are supposed to be channeling, you're not able to honor it because you're experiencing it as something negative. So many times our ascension comes with various symptoms. And because we are so conditioned to see an ache, a pain, a discomfort as a negative, bad thing, we misunderstand the power that is moving through us. So often when I'm downloading energy, when I'm grounding it into the grid, my hips have a lot of pressure for days until I set an intention to do that and allow the energy to move through me. Now, if I'm caught up with life, the drama of life, if my mind is constantly having conversations and caught up in the drama of what's not working out, where am I going to be in the vibrational vicinity to be able to download that, to allow that download? Because it's happening whether you allow it or not. It's entering the body, but now to allow it to move through my body and into the grids. When are we going to make the time for that? So your portal that is bringing through the medicine, the new information, the activations, the upgrades that are of this time, that you are supposed to bring through. You don't do it on your own. A collective does it together. It gets stuck in your body. The portal is not being honored. And how can you recognize it's not being honored? Because you judge your life path. You look at your life and you judge it. I don't like that happened. I don't like that I did that. I don't like that was the turnout. That could have been better. That should have been better. So you spend a lot of time in what must I do, what should I have done differently for that to be better, instead of in the present and now. There is no acceptance and no honoring of the life force and of what you are channeling and bringing through your portals. Or the individual is summoning entities to do their bidding because they feel powerless, so they're giving their power away. So there are some people that will perform various rituals and spells, working with various entities to do their bidding for them. You're not going to burn in the fire of hell if you do that. But what does happen is there is a contract, that unspoken contract that takes place, because you only do that from a place of powerlessness. So what happens is you can send, if I'm the entity, whatever you call it, if I'm the one that's going to get your package for you on the other side, if I'm the runner, I can pick up my own stuff and bring it through your portal as well. You have no control of that. So often when we're outsourcing energy, And religion is one of the big ways in which we were trapped, fooled to outsource our energy. But I don't know if that's a conversation you guys want to have. Okay, so the root chakra I've touched on. So up in the, now we're going into the belly chakra, which is what I've spoken about, where that is your portal. And if you develop, so the belly chakra is not only the womb, it's part of the kidneys, the adrenal glands, the top of the kidneys, that's also the belly chakra, and the lower intestines. If your purpose is to heal and clear the karma, trauma around being a healer, that is, goes so far back into our history, where we were persecuted, we were betrayed, we were abandoned, you were cast out, and all of those awful things, then there will be a lot of insecurity around. There will be no security. You will feel a lot of insecurity in many areas of your life. Another part of the body that is associated with that is the rectum. Remember, the rectum releases junk. It's also an indication that you are hoarding. So people who have a tendency to hoard, that's also an indication that there's a root chakra blockage. They can't differentiate between, they can't make a clear distinction between this is useful and valuable to me and this is not. Let me let it go. They just hold on to everything in case it's useful because they don't know what is healthy and what is not. And you do that with the crap in your relationships too. Okay. So moving up to the belly chakra, if Cancer visits you in that energy center, it's going to be in the womb, it's going to be in the adrenal glands, it's going to be so kidney will be both root and belly, lower intestines. Okay, so issues there. When that spirit guide comes to visit you, what is Cancer wanting to guide you towards? Your calling to channel, bringing information from the spirit world into this 3D. I use a couple of different energy centers because obviously I'm using my voice as well, my throat. But the energy is here in my belly. That's where it comes through. It might seem like it's coming into my mind. This is just the processor that takes that information, processes it in a way that it can be understood, and in a way that I can see it being relevant in this world, and then I speak it, obviously. But it's an indication that you have a calling with channeling, but also that you're a star seed, and that you've deliberately come to be a part of light workers, of the collective light workers on the planet at this time. And your calling will be around the process of creation and giving birth to things. So you will find that if you are blocked in this area and there are things that are keeping you apart from your calling, you will have great ideas, or you will make plans and it won't work. It won't work. I was there for a long time. For everything I thought of, I would make it happen, and I just seemed like the luckiest person in the world. Then I entered my dark night of the soul, and for 10 years, it didn't matter how hard I worked. It didn't matter what seeds I planted, it wouldn't grow. It wouldn't go anywhere. And so what are the things that are creating a pinching off or resistance around your calling in that area? So as I said, it's an indication of having a calling as a channel, a medium, communicating with intergalactic beings and other species in our universe, and also bringing in information, technology. Now, technology comes into this time-space reality as a frequency first. Information as an idea, a concept. and information. Then the information forms, and then it becomes a discussion and so forth. And then as a result of that, we have inventions. Okay. So there's a number of ways in which the body communicates with us that this is what we are being called to clear. If cancer forms in the stomach, the liver, the pancreas, and the large intestine, then that is an indication that it's the manifestation of a spirit guide wanting to guide you towards your calling around healing a collective blueprint of powerlessness and worth. So that is an indication that your calling is not specifically in your bloodline, but it is for a collective. So if you incarnated into the body of a woman or into the body of a woman of color, that is an indication of the community as a whole that you have come to serve, to teach, to bring information about who they really are. It's about liberation and empowerment. Okay. Now, obviously, you can have a calling in more than one area, but sometimes one area is active and the other one seems to be blocked, and it's not balanced. And so, suppressing your calling and your willingness to accept that there's more to you, usually what keeps you stuck and keeps you apart from your calling in this area is having a very keen awareness of societal structures and hierarchies and feeling very frustrated by it. Also, an individual that has a calling in that area will usually not be neurotypical because we have fail safes for conformity. And so we're the type of people that like to get lost down rabbit holes, history, culture, tradition, and getting to the heart of the truth. We think outside of the box. This is your traveler. Your work is also on a global scale, not just your community. So there's travel involved. There is exploration. This area is about connecting different links, seeing the patterns, the connections. So I often say that my totem, my healing totem, is a spider. That is the solar plexus. It's where the different threads are connected to create a large web, and it's rewriting history. That's your calling. So if you feel a victim to your history and you feel like you've got no choice, you can't move, you've got to go with what's been given to you, then you're still stuck in an old program and you're not able to give space to your calling. So this is the person who has the calling in group work, conference work, as speakers, as motivational speakers, as teachers, as people doing workshops around personal development and mentorship. Okay. So, and then we move up to the heart chakra. If cancer manifests in this area, breasts, lungs, then cancer comes as a spirit guide because you have gotten really stuck as an earth angel. And you have found yourself being fed off by a parasite or parasites because of the savior complex, being too afraid to leave anyone behind. Someone is siphoning all of your energy. These are usually the people that are they experience their relationships through fear of abandonment. They don't want to abandon anyone. They don't want to leave anyone behind. They don't want to be a terrible person. You over identify with somebody else's victimhood, and you will find yourself victim to narcissists. This is the earth angel. You patterns of codependence, patterns of people pleasing is usually the thing that you need to clear out. So there's an inability to nurture yourself. This wound can also go all the way back to the mother or the father, and it's the same with the belly chakra. I'm going to be doing a retreat in October. I'm doing a weekend retreat and a 7 days where we're going to dive deeper, and we're going to go into these focus areas in a lot more depth to clear it out and to heal it. So if you guys want more information on that, just message me. You can email me to this email, or message me if you have my WhatsApp, because there's so much information, so much meat. But the retreat is going to be a facilitated retreat where I will facilitate and help you through the healing process and give you the tools to continue at home. So Cancer, the spirit guide, which is Cancer, manifests in this area, the heart chakra area, the breast. If it's the right breast, it's usually a certain, and you have nurture where you have played the nurture life, and you have been abused for it. Not being able to nurture yourself, nurturing and hoping that that comes back to you from a depleted place. So it's got to do with care and nurture towards you. It's got to do with excessive giving of care and nurture to the point where you're empty. Nothing comes back. It's on the left-hand side. It's usually associated with the woman. Also, the spirit is saying to me, just to let you know, if it's on the right-hand side, it's usually associated with people pleasing and putting yourself in situations that you don't want to be in because of wounds from your childhood, from your family, ancestral wounds. If it's on the left hand side, it's around feeling like you are not deserving. You're too afraid to allow anyone to take care of you and nurture you. And I'm being reminded of an abscess that I had on my left breast when I went to go and have it checked out. Sometimes you can obviously have a relationship between the two, but on the left hand side, it's usually associated with a mother wound, with the feminines, with the woman, with not being accepted and embraced and nurtured by them. Perhaps they were too hard on you. Perhaps they didn't think you needed. I certainly was a child that always seemed, I took care of my mother, who was an alcoholic, and so I was the capable one. And so everybody just expected me to be okay all the time while everybody else was falling apart. And so being missed and not knowing how to allow yourself to be taken care of became something that was evident in my relationships. I attracted relationships, men who needed me to take care of them because that seemed normal to me. I knew what to do with that. And that sort of dysfunction comes into play because I also attracted clients that believed that they needed to be rescued, that wasn't anywhere near being able to hold themselves up. So they were very codependent and would project a lot of blame for their victimhood. And what I'm here to do is to empower people. So that was sort of counterproductive, and it was quite a journey for me to navigate that, where I wasn't being pulled into people's stuff to take care of people's stuff for them because they couldn't take care of it on their own. And even now I have to check myself with that, where I have to see if I'm doing that, where I'm looking at people as if They can't take care of themselves. Hey TC, nice to see you here too. Sorry, I didn't see these messages at the bottom. Mona, yes, absolutely. In color therapy, when I do color therapy workshops, I often talk about why we have color in the world. Why is it not just black and white? Because God provided us with everything that we need for well-being here. So there is a medicine for everything. Absolutely. All right, so Cancer manifesting in this area is a spirit guide guiding you towards releasing and clearing out and closing the gap between who you've come to believe yourself to be, which is an untruth, versus your purpose as an earth angel. Now, if you're an earth angel, you will always, you're that person that is so forgiving, you're sweet, you're kind, sometimes to your own detriment, and you overcompensate for other people's inadequacies, and you experience a lot of abuse as a result of it, but you carry a very powerful frequency because you come from that realm, which is very high dimensional. So you don't have to fix anything for anyone or make anyone understand you. You heal people just by being in their space. When you have made work of things, when you're wrestling with people's ego and you tippy-toeing around people's limited perceptions and their issues and their ego, you actually decrease your frequency to an unnatural state, which is unnatural to who you are, and you cause yourself a lot of illness. Okay, so that's what that shows. Throat chakra, if you've got thyroid or cancer manifesting in the throat, that spirit guide comes to help you with your free will. They're showing me a ball of elastics tied together in a jumbled knot. You're carrying around a lot of truths that are not your own, and you are not making the most of your willpower. Your choices come from a place of fear, and your beliefs about yourself and the world are untrue. They're of such a low quality and value that you are limiting yourself. You have a calling as a teacher, a singer, a poet. That's where your medicine is. You are a siren. Some call you a mermaid. You are a mermaid incarnate in this body. But you have a distorted view of that. You don't quite know how your will and your willpower, how you can harmonize it with divine will. Okay. Moving up into the third eye. So eyes, ears, and certain parts of the brain, the pituitary gland. You are a seer. You are an oracle. If you if cancer comes as a spirit guide there, you're a seer, you're an oracle. Very, very rare though, because you're a seer, you're normally going to see. If you're a seer, you see since you're little. Okay. But sometimes there can be a disconnect because maybe the worlds that you are looking into are of a very low, of a lower dimension to what your calling is. Okay. And there's a reason why you're doing that, but it's not a reason that serves you. Crown chakra, so that is obviously in the brain, other parts of the brain, nervous system as well. Your calling is to channel source energy the way that I do. So I am multi gifted. Everything that I've mentioned, I remote view, I channel source, I can communicate with spirit on the other side, angels, entities, jinn, loved ones on the other side. I can, all the different portals I can visit and I can communicate there. I communicate with nature. when I go to the forest, trees actually, they call me, say hello to me, and share information about who they are, introduce themselves to me. I can communicate with anything. I'm a healer and a seer. So, and I think it's because I've come to work with all of you who have all these different gifts. So I've come in embodying it so that there's an understanding and a resonance, you know. So that's some information around how cancer comes to serve us. It's not something that happens to us. Obviously, if we decide that, right, in our evolution, we want to transition, that's already written into our soul contract. We decided before we even came here that we're going to transition with it. But obviously, we can change things. There's no such thing as time. You didn't write it into a, you didn't decide that I'm going to die on the 6th of December that year. That date doesn't even exist, really. It's just a made up thing here. You decided that when I close these 5 cycles and I get to this point in my evolution, I'm happy to transition. Now, that can happen at any point in our lives. It's up to you. That's where your free will comes in. So, I hope that you enjoyed this and that it was informative and I gave you some insight. We didn't do any channeled healings here today. There wasn't any requests for that, but I hope that the information serves you well. And next Thursday, if all goes well and my energy is good, I will be here again. And those of you who would like to receive channel healings, or if you know anyone that could benefit from it, let them know. Let them subscribe. Just share my YouTube channel. Tell them to subscribe and click the notification bell so that they can receive notification when I go live. But thank you so much to all of you who were here with me this evening, for interacting with me, and remember to take good care of yourself, and that your aches and pains are serving you. They are your teachers. They are your guides. They are telling you something. All right. Take good care of yourself, love and light, and I will chat to you guys next time. Bye now.